Hey everyone, and welcome to the final video in this series of tutorials that will help you to collect, examine, and visualize urban informatics and modelling through digital data sources within the context of Melbourne, Australia. Hi, my name is Amy, and in this tutorial I'll teach you how to export data from QGIS into Mapbox and back again. So let's get started. The first thing that we are going to do is to open up the QGIS file that we were working on in our Add Area Attribute tutorial. And then the next thing we're going to do is to export our green spaces shapefile layer. So to do this, we are going to right-click on our layer, go to Export, and then go to Save Feature As. Then we are going to make sure that our file format is an Esri shapefile. And then we're going to give this file a name. And a location. And then we're going to give this file a projection of WGS84 EPSG 3857 pseudo Mikado. And then we're going to press OK. Once our file is finished exporting, we're going to go to our File Explorer and our file location. And then we're going to select all of the component files of our shapefile and right-click. And then we're going to send this to a compressed zip folder with the same name. Next, we're going to minimize our QGIS. And in our internet browser, we're going to type in mapbox.com. From here, we're going to go into our Mapbox Studio. And we're going to go to Tilesets. Next, we're going to add a new tileset. And then going back to our File Explorer, we're going to click and drag our shapefile zip file in order to upload this as a new tileset. And then we're going to press Confirm. Once our shapefile has finished uploading and processing, we're going to go to the Styles section of our Mapbox Studio, and we're going to create a new style. In this instance, we're going to choose the monochrome template, and we're going to choose the light variation of this template. And then we're going to customize this map. Next, we're going to zoom out, navigate and find our study area, which is Melbourne City. And then we're going to go to the Layers section of our command panel. From here, we're going to minimize all of the existing layer groups. And then we're going to hide all of the label groups except for the place labels. Next, we're going to add a new layer. And then in our Select Data section, we're going to scroll down to find our new tile set. Next, we're going to filter this tile set. To the 0 green spaces data field, as we did in our Add Area Attribute tutorial. And we're going to choose our Reserve Attribute data field. And then going to our style panel, we're going to give our reserves a color. And we're going to rename our layer and then we're going to keep adding layers and filtering these layers to the different green space data field codes, referring back to these codes descriptions. Now that we've finished adding all of the attributes as layers in our Mapbox, you may have noticed whilst doing it that several of the layers have the same area data attached to them. For example, if I were to hide the oval layer in North Melbourne, this layer also has data for both the sports ground and the recreational resource. So what you can do is to personalize the hierarchy of layers as you desire. And voila, we have now managed to export data from QGIS to Mapbox as a new Mapbox layer. The final step to this part is renaming the map to green spaces. So when you go back into Mapbox, you can easily identify this map. So now that we have worked out how to export from QGIS to Mapbox, what happens if we wanted to export this map from Mapbox and import it back into QGIS now that it has been personalized? The easiest way to do this is to open up a new tab and type in how to import Mapbox map to QGIS. And then from your internet browser's search results, we're going to click the first link. And this will take you to a document made by Mapbox that tells you how to take your Mapbox maps and import them as layers to a number of GIS related software. So we are going to scroll down to the section with the heading Add Mapbox Maps in QGIS, and this will give you a generic URL that you can customize based on your username and the particular map that you have created and import to QGIS as a WMTS layer. So we are going to copy this generic URL, and then we are going to go back into QGIS, and we are going to go to our Layers tab of our menu toolbar, and we are going to go down to Add Layer, and then to Add WMS/WMTS layer. In our Data Source Manager, we are now going to click on New, making sure that we are in the Layers tab of this section of the Data Source Manager. And we are going to give our map a name. And then we are going to paste the generic Mapbox map URL into our URL text box. And then the next thing we need to do is to customize this URL to include our Mapbox username and our Mapbox map that we have created. So to do this, we need to go back into Mapbox, and we are going to go to the Share tab of our toolbar. And as Mapbox does not allow you to copy these styles properly without making them public, we are going to make our Mapbox map public. And then we're going to press OK. Next, we're going to scroll down and we are going to copy our maps URL. And then we are going to go back into QGIS. And then we're going to select the generic map URL from the end of your style ID. To the beginning of your username. And then we're going to paste in our maps URL. And then from here, because we've already got the start of the generic maps URL in order to create our WMTS layer, we need to delete the start of our maps URL. So that's everything from the end of styles to the first / before Mapbox. And then the second thing we need to do is to get our maps access code. So to do this, we need to go back into Mapbox and we need to copy our maps access code and then go back into QGIS and then select the generic map URL from the equals sign after access code to the end, and then replace this with our map's access code. And then we're going to make sure that our URL includes an access code, our username, our map's style ID, the section that says WMTS ? To let QGIS know that we are wanting to create a WMTS layer as opposed to a WMS layer, and the beginning of the Mapbox URL extension. And then we're going to press OK. And now, as you can see, underneath the Layers tab of this section of our Data Source Manager, it now says green spaces, meaning that we have created a WMTS layer. But before we can continue, we need to make sure that this layer is connected back to our Mapbox's map. So to do this, we are going to click Connect. And then once QGIS has finished connecting to Mapbox, the Data Source Manager will move to the Tile Sets tab in the WMS/WMTS section of this manager, notifying us that it has successfully linked to this map. And a good indicator of this is the fact that we started with a monochrome Mapbox base map, and it has stated that the title of this is monochrome. So the next thing we are going to do is to rename this layer to match our version of Mapbox's monochromatic map. And then we are going to add it to our Layers panel, and then close our Data Source Manager. And then if we zoom in, we can see all of the different green space layers that we created from the original QGIS shapefile. And then if we just hide the original shapefiles, we can now see an exported Mapbox map imported into QGIS as a layer. And voila, we have now successfully exported data from QGIS into Mapbox and back again. This is the last video in this series of tutorials. I hope that these videos have taught you more about the world of urban informatics and modelling. So until next time, bye!